All right, guys. So today we're going to start doing some more work on our poem that we've been reading. A poem from my librarian, Miss Long. You never know what troubled little girl needs a book. And we're going to start off today with thinking about our senses. So that's our taste, our hearing, our sight, our smell, and our touch. And we're going to share out some of our responses via our discussion board, which we've done several times before going into this lesson. So I want you guys to ask yourselves, and I want you to think, which of your senses is most important to the experience of reading and why? Which of your senses is most important to the experience of reading and why? So I'm going to give you guys an example. If I'm reading a book where a little girl tells me a story about her and her grandmother and how they used to bake cookies together. And when she would walk in, she could smell the warmth and the gooey chocolate oozing from the cookie, and she could taste the sweetness and of the cookie and things of that nature. Then my taste might be very important to my experience of reading, because maybe I've tasted a chocolate chip cookie before and I know what that experience is like. So now that this writer is explaining to me her experience of a chocolate chip cookie, my senses is helping me picture what actually is going on in the text. So I want you guys to think about, which sense? Is it your taste? Is it your hearing? Is it your sight? Is it your smell? Or is it your touch that is most important to your experience of reading, and why? In your discussion board. And please make sure you give me the sense, the experience, and the why. So moving forward into our lesson for today, we're going to talk about our content framing question and our focusing question. And remember, there's one of these in each of our lessons. So our content framing question for this lesson is, what does a deeper exploration of the speaker's relationship to reading reveal? What does a deeper exploration of the speaker's relationship to reading reveal? And our focusing question is, what does reading mean to the speaker? In a poem from my librarian, Miss Long. So in order to be able to answer those two questions that we just talked about for our content framing and our focusing question, I want us to start off with another discussion. What do you think of when you hear the word exploration? What's the first thing that pops up into your mind when you think of the word exploration? This is also going to be in your discussion board. Now that we've discussed what we think about the word exploration and what that means to us, now I want us to go ahead and I want us to reread the poem. Please follow along with me.
Cover as a preference, paperback only as allowed. At a time when there was no TV before 3 p.m., and on Sunday none until 5, we sat on front porches watching the JFG sign go on and off, greeting the neighbors, discussing the political situation, congratulating the preacher on his sermon. There was always radio, which brought us songs from WLAC in Nashville and what we would now call easy listening or smooth jazz. But when I listened late at night with my portable that I was so proud of tucked under my pillow, I heard Nat King Cole and Matt Dennis, June Christie and Ella Fitzgerald, and sometimes Sarah Vaughan sing Black Coffee, which I now drink. It was just called music. There was a bookstore uptown on Gay Street which I visited and inhaled that wonderful odor of new books. Even today, I read hardcover as a preference, paperback only as a last resort. And up on the hill on Vine Street, the main black corridor, sat our Carnegie Library. Mrs. Long always glad to see you, the stereoscope always ready to show you faraway places to dream about. Mrs. Long asking, "What are you looking for today?" When I wanted Leaves of Grass or Alfred North Whitehead, she would go to the big library uptown, and I now know, hat in hand, to ask to borrow so that I might borrow. Probably they said something humiliating, since Southern whites like to humiliate Southern blacks. But she nonetheless brought the books back, and I held them to my chest, close to my heart, and happily skipped back to grandmother's house, where I would sit on the front porch in a gray glider and dream of a world far away. I loved the world where I was. I was safe and warm, and grandmother gave me neck kisses when I was on my way to bed. But there was a world, somewhere, out there, and Mrs. Long opened that wardrobe, but no lions or witches scared me. I went through knowing there would be spring.
All right, guys. So now that we've reread the poem, today I want to introduce a new instructional routine. And this instructional routine is called Jigsaw. So remember, we've done some instructional routines before. We've done a notice and wonder chart before. We've done discussion. So today we are going to introduce a new instructional routine called Jigsaw. And in this routine, each of you will be given a stanza to analyze and then read other responses in the discussion board. When everyone leaves an analytical response for their assigned stanza, you will be able to read other responses. Thus, that meaning that you've analyzed the entire poem together through teamwork. So instead of us, one person everyone reading the entire poem and analyzing the entire poem, we are going to break it up into sections. So each one of you is going to be given their own stanza to analyze. And once you guys have analyzed that stanza, then you are going to go inside of the discussion board and write what you've learned into the discussion board. But then you're going to have all kinds of answers from different people in your class because everyone has analyzed something different, and you're going to read other people's discussions and other people's replies that they've written to get and gain more insight into the poem. All right, guys? So in order for us to do this, and to start Jigsaw, you're going to highlight any place in your assigned stanza where books or reading are referenced. And then you're going to ask yourself, what does the evidence from the text reveal about the speaker's relationship to reading? So you're going to look at any place in your assigned stanza where books or reading are talked about. So I'm going to give you guys a quick example of what that looks like. Okay, so this is what your document is going to look like. It's going to be labeled Annotation Assignment. I'm going to show you guys how to annotate electronically because I know that we're used to doing this at school where we highlight and write something on the side. But today we are going to be annotating electronically or virtually, all right? So I'm going to show you all how to do that. So if you watch my screen, you can get these instructions. Also, you guys are going to be annotating with a purpose. So I only want to see places where reading or books or art is referenced inside of the text, okay? So, when we think of reading and when we think of books, guys, We understand that books, literature, poetry, that is a form of art. Just like music is a form of art. Just like painting is a form of art. Writing is a form of art. So is reading and books. Those are also a form of art. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start going through my poem and I'm going to start looking for places where they mention reading, books, or art. So I see here they're talking about times, front porches, JFJ signs, neighbors discussing a political situation, preacher. They're discussing radio. Ooh, that's music. So this is a form of art. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to highlight where that is first. And then I'm going to go up here to this little box right here. Looks kind of like a discussion box. And I'm going to click it and add a comment. And it's going to highlight that word that I just clicked on. So now I want to ask myself a quick question. So the question that I was asking myself is, once I find where they reference books or reading, what does this tell me about the speaker's relationship to books or to reading? Well, now that I see that she loves the radio, this lets me know the speaker loves artwork. She has a close relationship to art through music. So this is an example where art, books, or reading is referenced. And this gives me an idea about her relationship to art or to music or to reading. Here, she says there was a bookstore uptown on Gay Street, which she visited and inhaled that wonderful odor of new books. So here's a spot where she references books. So what does this tell me about her relationship to books? The speaker loves the smell of new books. So maybe she loves reading new things. So this gives me something else that shows me her relationship to reading, books, and art. So now I want you guys to go through your particular stanza that you're going to be assigned, and you will see your stanza that is assigned inside of Schoology to annotate. You will annotate that one stanza and then go back to your discussion board and write what you found from your stanza about the speaker's relationship to books and evidence in the text. Guys, you can pause here at this section if you would like to go and work on your assigned stanza for the Jigsaw app instructional routine. Remember, you're highlighting any place in your assigned stanza where books or reading are referenced, and then you're writing what does that evidence from the text reveal about the speaker's relationship to reading. All right, guys, so welcome back. You guys should have completed your annotation assignment. Each one of you had a stanza that you were supposed to be analyzing, and you were supposed to be looking for when books, art, or reading is talked about or referenced inside of the text or inside of your assigned stanza, and then writing what that revealed to you about the speaker's relationship to books. So now that we've done that and we've annotated, and then we've also shared our responses and what we found inside of the discussion board and looked at what others have written inside of the discussion board, now we are going to introduce a new instructional activity or a new instructional routine. This one is called the 3-2-1 response. All right. So here in a 3-2-1 response, you are just quick writing. You're not responsible for making sure that all of your spelling is correct or that the grammar is perfect. This does not have to be a perfect paper. You're just free writing. I want to see what we're learning here. So, in your 3-2-1 response journal, I want you, and this is going to be in your response journal, and once again, you've already opened your interactive virtual notebook, so you will find this notebook inside of your Google Drive. So do not open up another one. Just go to your Google Drive and open up the same one and find up the page that says response and do this assignment there. You're going to ask yourself and write 3 things that the speaker associates with reading. 3 things that that the speaker associates with reading. I want you to give me 2 ways that Mrs. Long helps the speaker with her reading. Give me 2 ways that Mrs. Long helps the speaker with her reading. And I also want you to tell me 1 reason reading is important to the speaker. What is 1 reason that reading is important to the speaker? Also, I want you to tell me, how does writing about what I read work? How does writing about what you read work? What does it do for you? What does writing about what you're reading work? So for me, I know that writing about what I read helps me to remember things or to comprehend things. How does it help you? How does writing about what I read work? All of these questions should go inside of your response journal, okay? So you'll find your journal and go to where it says response journal. So now that we've done this and we've done our 3-2-1 response and we've done our jigsaw instructional routine, I want us to go back and think about our content framing question that we talked about at the beginning of this module or beginning of this lesson. What does a deeper exploration of the speaker's relationship to reading reveal? Once you explored her relationship to reading, what did you learn? Once you explored the speaker's relationship to reading, what did you learn? This is going to be an assessment that is inside of Schoology. It's an open-ended response. Please make sure that you are very clear and that you elaborate so that I understand that you know what's going on, okay? So just to recap, guys, 2 instructional routines that we learned today. We learned the jigsaw instructional routine and we learned the 3-2-1 response instructional routine. And for the jigsaw, we learned that this is when we divide pieces of the text amongst the entire class, and this gives us a chance to analyze the work as a whole and explore our classmates' responses as well. So remember that when you did the annotation assignment, you were also then supposed to put your information that you found and evidence from the text inside the discussion board. And once everyone has added something to the discussion board, you should go through and read others' responses so that you get more clarity on the poem as a whole. So your classmates are going to help you here to analyze this poem. And the next instructional assignment or instructional routine that we learned was our 3-2-1 response. And this is when we do a quick write over our content or our focus question. And we were supposed to do this inside of our response journal. So, today we've accomplished so many things, guys, and I'm so proud of you. We've read our poem again. We listened to a read aloud of the poem. We did our jigsaw activity where we spaced out and gave everyone a stanza to analyze. And then we read what everyone else said about their particular stanza to learn more about the poem. And then we expressed our understanding by writing a 3-2-1 response in our journals. So I hope you guys have had a great day and you've understood today's lesson. However, if you did not and you need extra help, please remember that I am here in my office hours for any assistance or clarity that you guys may need. I'll see you next time. Bye.